How's it going, everyone? It's Jeremy J, and I'm coming at you with another video. My most important video so far that I've ever done after having my channel for like 8 or 9 years. I feel like this is the most important video I've ever done. I feel like I might get emotional during this video. I feel like what I'm about to share with you is the result of 6 years of work on myself, of shadow work, of a lot of pain and difficulty and frustration and wrenching and dark night of the soul, all of that stuff. And I put some music on the background. I don't know if you guys and gals can hear it. But the title of this video is Finally Overcoming the Runner Pattern, or the Runner Template, surrendering past the twin flame runner template, but that doesn't even seem right. I would say it's overcoming the runner pattern. Let's call it that for now. And 6 years ago at this time, I was being wrenched. I was going through a separation and then future divorce after a 14-year marriage. Someone that I would call at that time, the twin flame had disappeared. And I spent the next 7 months in a very dark night of the soul state, writhing on the floor, crying, eventually moving out into an apartment and having my divorce be finalized. Around October 2014, I started to have some semblance of my power come back and normalcy come back. But it would be another about 2 years or so, 2.5 years, before I completed that cycle, that hero's journey. And here I am now experiencing another cycle of it. And I feel like I just put the final piece of the puzzle to overcoming the twin flame runner crisis. Let's call it that, the crisis. Why is it a crisis? So for many of you who are on my channel, you found me because someone disconnected from you and you felt pain and they don't want to talk. And if they do talk, it's brief and then they run again. This pattern, it's happened with a lot of people, including me. And it happened again recently, except instead of taking 2.5 years to nip it in the butt, I nipped it in the butt, less than 3 weeks after the disconnect. If you are disconnected from someone and you are a reasonable person and you treated that other person well, they will reach out again, most likely. The problem is the reason for your pain and their disconnect are not healed when that happens. And so the cycle will repeat itself over and over again with them multiple times or with someone else in the future. And what's happening is, because of the intensity of that situation, your brain is attuned to it. Your mind is attuned to it. You will seek out that situation. It almost becomes what you expect. So you keep going until you find the next situation that repeats the same thing. And that cycle will perpetuate indefinitely unless two things happen. One, you dig deep into your wounds of why you feel abandoned and ditched and lesser. When I did a video a week or so ago, a week and a half ago, about the breakup I was going through, I was feeling that. So when I say I found the piece of the puzzle, I mean I found it in the last couple days, that final piece of the puzzle. And then, so when I start to get emotional, it's because it's been 6 years of work to get here. And the solution's actually really simple. Hard to do, simple to state. So part one of the solution, here it is. It's us to really, really dig deep and say, why do I feel so hurt and abandoned? Why am I putting so much energy into someone that doesn't want to talk to me or isn't talking to me? Maybe the other person really does, but they're scared. Regardless, the end result is the same. Why do we put so much energy into someone that's not giving, yet not putting positive energy back? That's a really important question. The only reason I can think of to do something like that is because we don't feel worthy of love. Because that's the only reason to do that. Because you're getting the opposite of love with that. You're getting disconnect. And if that's what you're chasing, it's the answer to that question. So when I felt ditched on the side of the road a week and a half ago when I made that video, it's because I didn't feel worthy of love. And I was going after something that was not interested in me. And when that person reached out to me again, I felt the same anxiety in me. And after conversing briefly with them and feeling the same behavior return, something switched. And I said no. I said no to the behavior. I placed a boundary and I walked away forever. And I was willing to do that, willing to never interact with this person ever again, and telling them that the only way I would interact with them is if they changed behavior and treated me right. And it was hard to do because I had just recently installed that final piece of the puzzle, the boundaries, what I want, what I expect. Have you ever thought about that? What do you really want? I'm guessing you don't want pain. I'm guessing you don't want feeling unworthy or unloved. So how do you change that? The way you do it is when you're interacting with someone, you will feel when you're being unloved. You will feel it through a text, through what they're saying, through how they're acting. Your body will tell you. And when that moment happens, take a deep breath and simply say, what you're doing is not okay. That's not how someone acts who loves and cares about you. Someone who loves does not disappear. And if it's a person who's run away and come back, you create a firm boundary. You say, I'm not interested in talking to you. I only want people in my life that do this. that meet me in the middle, that have a two-way conversation, that care about me, that care about what I think or what I want. Because the reality is me and all of you watching this cared so much about the other person and gave them so much, and the end result was a disconnect. So it's drawing that firm boundary when you feel the tension in your body with that person, whoever it is in your life that you're thinking about all the time, that you're chasing, even if it's only in your mind. Draw that boundary. Find your strength and center to do it. It won't be easy. It wasn't easy for me to do. But when that happens, that person will either disappear forever or come back. But when they come back, you now have this new installment of that boundary, and you'll be laser focused on them, watching. And I feel like there will forever be that disconnect between you two. I'm not saying that can't be repaired, but I think it would take a lot of time. The reason these twin flame runner situations are so intense is because it's the perfect storm. It's the perfect match for the most intensity between the two. And the reason is the person who chases has fear of abandonment, even if they don't know it. I didn't know it when I experienced it the first time. Fear of abandonment, a feeling of unworthiness. And so you're almost like on edge, wondering when it happens, when you feel the disconnect. So that's you on the chaser. The runner, they're so afraid of real love instead of an imaginary wonderful relationship. They want the imaginary wonderful relationship. It's too much to experience the actual real relationship because it requires work. It requires communication, speaking about your insecurities, those kinds of things. Because that person did connect with you for a time, but it wasn't sustainable. And the reason it wasn't sustainable because they have work to do too. And you too, in the current state, will be like surgeons with a laser and hitting the exact spot with that laser on each other. You will hit their laser spot by chasing, by smothering, by putting pressure. They will laser you by running away, by making, creating ultimatums or making decisions without your input and disappearing. And that's how they will laser you. And so that lasering ends when you grab a shield and you have firm and concrete boundaries about what you will and will not tolerate, and you stand by them, and you don't budge on that. So what this will do is it will repel people who are like that. You will no longer experience runners. I firmly believe you will no longer experience runners when you've established strong, concrete, and firm boundaries. Not just saying you have, you'll know you have it when you speak it, the truth to someone that is like that. Then you'll know that you've got them. I don't feel the pain and the disconnect from my recent breakup anymore. It means I still feel it, of course. I still have the memories of it. But the moment I placed those boundaries, the sadness and the trauma of it ended. Now, I can't stop my brain from replaying the whole thing and trying to analyze it all. That's my brain. That's what it does. But the trauma and pain from it is gone. And now I've got a new module being installed, the final piece of the puzzle for this situation, the runner situation. I I firmly believe there will be no more runners in my life ever again. This is the last one. And that's exciting to me because it means I'm going to start attracting people into my life who value me, who are going to pitch and catch with me, who aren't going to, after a short time, disconnect from me, because I will have the boundaries in place. And they will know immediately when they're out of line that that's not acceptable and that I can walk away, and will walk away if I'm not treated right. It doesn't mean there's not going to be disagreements, but that's okay because that's a two-way discussion. When you're having a disagreement, it's a two-way thing. And I will also have conversations beforehand. I want to understand someone's past, their past relationships, how they handle situations. Do they communicate, or do they clam up and run, or let anxiety and fear cause them to run? So now I know what questions to ask when I'm talking to someone. Now, it doesn't mean there's not going to be future challenges to work on. There's probably going to be more modules to install for me, for whoever the next person is that I interact with. But I do know that establishing firm and concrete boundaries and early on and being congruent with that will stop the running. Because if someone runs, let's say I was with someone and they just were like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they totally pulled the wool over my eyes, and I couldn't see that they were going to run. I have that boundary, and I immediately know that that's not what I want, and it's done. And if they come back, it's a no. The situation's over. My door is closed. Now, someone comes back to you after running, and they speak from a standpoint of, they're healed. You'll be able to tell by their words and actions. You can slowly and cautiously and carefully interact with them and let them prove to you that they're worth your time to interact with. You are the prize. You are the value. You have the worth. You're the one willing to work on yourself. You're the one willing to try. You have the value. Someone runs oftentimes because they don't feel like they have value. They feel like you're so much better than them. And you know what? They're probably right. So shore up your boundaries, create strong standards, get a very clear and concrete idea of the person you really want in your life, what it looks like being with them, what their personality's like. Get very clear in every area and go after that kind of person. Go after someone who values themselves and values you. You'll know that kind of person because of the way they carry themselves and speak. Someone who doesn't feel that way will oftentimes say that you're better than them. Listen to that statement. When someone says you're better than them, listen to that. And you now know that that situation may not be what you want. And you can say at that moment, well, I'm interested in someone who really values themselves as well as me. So it's been fun, but see ya. Because now you've integrated what you really want. I would encourage you to practice boundary exercises with people close to you of the opposite sex. Hi, Dido. Have them do things that trigger you. The phrases and the things that trigger you in a place of trust, have them do that and work on standing in that fear and responding appropriately with a boundary, so that when the time comes and you need to set a boundary, you have it in you. You're trained. So I'm feeling a little emotional today. that 6 years has finally come to a close. And I feel like today is the day it has come to a close. I'm excited about who's going to come next. I am writing many pages of what I want that to look like. And I'm going to put that intention to the universe. And we'll see what comes from that. Maybe in some future video, I'll have them sit with me and say hello to all of you. That would be kind of cool. I want you to know that you got this. You can end the cycle. And it's simple to understand, hard to do, because you have to do it while you're in the emotion, while you feel the emotion. And you have to be willing, even to fumble and stumble on how you say it, to set the boundary. And you'll go back and you say, wow, did I say that right? Yes, you did fine. You can say, hey, that's not okay how you're treating me. Or that's not okay. Or it takes two, and I'm not interested in how this is going. If you change, then maybe we can talk again in the future. And you can say it that calmly and firmly. Okay? Ending the twin flame runner cycle. That's what this is, and this is how you do it. You end it for yourself. That you can control. And if you end it for yourself, you will end it, the cycle. And if the other person does the work on themselves, which you know how much work it takes, you know this stuff doesn't just happen overnight. You'll be able to spot people who have done the work, who are healthy in their mind and their state of being. So if sometime down the road that person truly has done the work as you have, you might reconnect again in a proper way. But always keep that boundary in you. And you'll be good. You'll be fine. So thank you so much for watching. If you have more questions, I'm very happy to do another follow-up on this video. Talk to you later.